guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all the love and support I received in my last video, and if you have not seen it yet, feel free to head on over to my channel to check it out. Well guys, I am so happy to be here with you today on the channel. I'm so happy that a lot of you really enjoyed last week's video on my beginner's guide to the SJM universe. As many people in the book community know, SJM, my mother, my queen, my sister, my daughter, my cousin, my aunt, my goddess, like truly the mother of all mothers.
I am your mother. You listen to me. Stop all the mansplaining. Hey. No one's listening.
Has just announced that ACOTAR 6 and 7 will be coming out very shortly in the next couple of months upcoming. And so I created a beginner's guide to the SJM universe for you guys to watch if you are new to the SJM universe or you need a refresher on how things are done. That video is a great one. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching that video. But here we are today to talk about today's topic, which you've seen the title, so you already know. We are talking about morally gray FMCs in fantasy books. That's right. Fantasy ladies that are morally gray. Now, I've done a video on my channel about morally gray MMCs, our main male characters, and let's be real, those books are by the dozens, by the thousands. You can find any fantasy book or any sort of book with morally gray men, okay? It's very easy to find morally gray men. But what about morally gray women? What about women who, you know, they have to stop and think, like, what are they doing? Are they doing it for the right reasons? Is it selfish? Is it unkind? Is it unwarranted? Is it evil? Is it corrupt? Is it bad? Like, these are the things that I feel like you don't get to see a lot in books of women, like showing like the kind of women that they are, and also just having like a lot of complexities. Because similarly to the morally gray MMCs, you know, we come to find that there's like so many layers to them and that you're unpacking a lot of like...
Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it. We both have layers.
Who they are as a person. You've come to find out that they're, you know, they are morally gray, but also like not so morally gray, if that makes any sense. And I feel like the same is true for our FMCs as well. Like, these are women that you see in these books and you're like, I don't know if I like her. I don't know if I trust her. She also kind of gives me a bad vibe, bad juju. Or maybe you do like her, but the reason you like her is because she's willing to do whatever it takes to achieve her goals. She's willing to do whatever it takes. She's willing to be complex and diverse and interesting and different and not like female characters. And that's something that I just absolutely love and like want to bring to the forefront of fantasy books. I feel like FMCs like deserve our love and they deserve our respect, and especially our morally gray ones, because the reasons that they're doing it are always justified in my opinion. Or maybe they're not. This is why it's morally gray.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, I think a woman should be able to kill one man a month.
At least.
So I am so excited to get into today's video with you. But before we get into that, I have so many books to talk about because we're doing our segment of what I just finished reading versus what I'm currently reading. Now, guys, this is going to be a longer section because I did finish 3 books, okay? Like, I am on a freaking roll right now with my fantasy books. Like, I am loving it. If you would like to skip past this section of listening to what I'm currently reading, like, I'll put in the timestamp right here so you can just jump to when we start, or morally gray FMC stuff. But for those of you who want to stick around and find out what I've been currently reading, like, this is a juicy one and I'm excited to talk about it. So let's do this thing. The first one I want to talk about that I finished reading, I will be very brief because I am going to be talking about this one specifically in today's video because it talks about a morally gray FMC. This is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. Now, this was an extremely unexpected novel. And I know what you're all thinking. Surprise and gasp when I tell you this. This book is not a romance. So this book was marketed as kind of like an enemies to lovers, at least it seemed from the premise. And I'm not going to get into that yet because I'm going to talk about it in today's video. But essentially the book was marketed as kind of like an enemies to lovers. And this is certainly not that. It is the opposite of that. It is just enemies. And it is very intense and very gripping and very raw. I was really surprised by this book and I gave it 5 stars. It's actually my first 5-star read of the year that came out in 2026. This is my first book that has been written in 2026 that I've given a 5-star read to. I'm really surprised that it shook me the way that it did, but it is really impactful. It was really cool. So, highly recommend this. It was really good. I can't wait to talk about it in today's video about morally gray FMCs, because this book really gets into it hot and heavy. The next book that I read was a gothic, haunting, religious, kind of dark academia / a little bit of a fantasy element. This is The Sacred Space Between by Callie Reed, or Kaylee Reed. I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I think it could be Kaylee or Callie Reed. And she is an author I actually discovered on TikTok like last year. And I started watching her stuff. Like, she just talked about, she's like a big book talk girl. She's been posting stuff on book talk for like years. And then she decided to write a book. And this is her debut novel that came out last year. And I was at the Barnes & Noble looking for a new thing to read. And I saw it and I was like, you know what? I have been wanting to read this book and to see how it is. And I was really impressed. I gave this book 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting premise. I will say that, like, there are some elements that I, like, definitely think needed to be, like, fleshed out a little bit more, especially the religious systems, because this book is very much about, like, religious trauma, which, like, I thoroughly enjoyed reading, and I always enjoy a book that, like, has to do with, like, has a really strong elements of religion in it, because I feel like it's such an integral part of a story and can really, like, give you such a clear foundation of what a world is like. So again, I really enjoyed this, like, haunting, gothic, dark, like, academia type book. Allison Saft, who I love, wrote on the front of the cover, she reviewed it and said, this book is a study in tortured pining. And I will say that it did feel that way. The book made me tear up. The book made me weepy. Like, I felt very much like the haunting loneliness of this book. And I really enjoyed it. Like, honestly, I had a great time. A 4-star read, and for a debut novel, like, extremely impressive for Kaylee Reed. Like, she should be so proud. Her characters were tragic and beautiful and, like, so vulnerable. I loved the vulnerability of her characters, like, really, really, really open and honest and very just, like, real in a way. And I loved how real this book was. And so I highly recommend it if you're looking for something, like, tragic and gothic and spooky to read, like, very much in the same vibes of, like, Alison Saft, Rachel Gillig, like, they're very much in that energy, and I really, really enjoyed it. And the last book that I read, which is, again, a massive shock to me and anyone who knows me, again, another, like, gag-worthy book that I read. I can't believe I'm even saying this. I read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Which is just a shock for me because, as many of you know, I've proclaimed this from the rooftops on my channel. I usually don't like sci-fi. I don't like sci-fi. I think sci-fi for me, it just doesn't speak to me the way that fantasy does. My brain just doesn't work the way that sci-fi works. Sci-fi is usually very, like, math and science based, and I am very much, like, English, history, language arts kind of girl. So, like, sci-fi books always make me feel kind of dumb, and, like, and don't get me wrong, this book did make me feel dumb, but, however,
I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all-carb diet. God, Karen, you are so stupid.
Project Hail Mary was an extremely unexpected book. So, backstory, basically one of the bookstores that my roommate and I love to attend, they are doing, their book for the month was Project Hail Mary, and the movie's coming out very, very soon with Ryan Gosling. And I really wanted to see the movie, but my roommate and her fiance were like, hey, like, we both read the book, you should read the book. And I was like, I don't know. And I'm like, I really don't like sci-fi. And they're like, you will like this one, like, give it a try. And so I gave it a go. Project Hail Mary is about an astronaut named Ryland Grace, who essentially is jettisoned into the middle of space, wakes up with his dead crewmates, no memory or recollection of how he got here, really, and he's, like, slowly, like, remembering why he's out here on this, like, space mission, and is essentially to save Earth from impending doom. When I started the book, I was a little bit skeptical. I was just like, I don't know if this is going to speak to me in a way that I, like, want it to. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it really spoke to me. I actually really enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed Ryland's perspective on things. I really enjoyed his POV. I really enjoyed being inside of his brain. I felt like I really knew him and, like, understood him. And honestly, like, I also just love, like, men crying.
I can't believe that there are people that would do something like this. It's so sick and twisted, and I feel so violated.
As funny as that is to say, and he is, like, he's, like, pretty open with his emotions. Like, he will, like, weep from time to time throughout the book. And when men cry, I cry. And even in books, in real life, anywhere, when men cry, I cry. Because you just never get to see it. It's like seeing pigs fly. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's, like, amazing.
This is your kink. Me being pathetic.
You're not being pathetic. You're being passionate and vulnerable.
And it's always so like vulnerable and sweet and tender. And this character was very sweet and very tender, even in like a high stakes, like science-based world. Again, did I feel stupid reading a lot of this? Yes, but I actually was able to like bypass all of that in my head and just like keep going and loving the story and loving the characters. I'm really excited to see the movie. I gave it 4.5 stars. I can't believe I read a sci-fi book with no romance and I gave it 4.5 stars. So anything's possible for anyone. So I really do recommend you check out Project Hail Mary. It's really lovely. So that is all the books I am currently reading. I legitimately just finished Project Hail Mary last night at 4 a.m. So I'm a little buzzed, but like I haven't started anything yet. I am planning on starting another fantasy book. I've just been so in my like fantasy grind. I've just been loving it. But that was a super long, like what I just finished reading versus what I'm currently reading. So we're just going to jump right into Morally Grey FMCs. Like I said in the beginning, I love Morally Grey FMCs. I love seeing a difference in literature. I love seeing this rise of like complex women and these women who are like extremely like independent and single-minded and like going after what they want no matter the cost. These are all going to be fantasy books besides one urban fantasy, but that still counts. It's still fantasy. And these are all really, really excellent books that I like love, cherish, and think are above and beyond when it comes to Morally Grey. And I think that you guys will really enjoy them too. So without further ado, let's get started. First one we're going to start with is obviously, I'm going to start with the book I was just talking about, which is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. Again, like I said, guys, I really, really, really enjoyed this book. And again, it was extremely unexpected for me to love this book because it felt like it was marketed as an enemies to lovers and it ended up just being hardcore enemies. There's a young woman in the Azalea dynasty. Her name is Wei Yin. Wei Yin lives in a very, very, very poor rustic town. Her family has like they're starving to death. Like she and her parents are buried their siblings from time to time. Like everyone is so hungry. The Azalea dynasty is dying. And essentially there is a new emperor about to be like essentially like crowned, and his name is Terran, and essentially he needs concubines to join his like inner circle. And so Wei Yin essentially throws her hat in the ring and says like, please take me as a concubine so that she can essentially like rise above her station, give her family something, send them gifts, send them food, like be able to like make a difference and like essentially make her one of his concubines. And when she arrives at the palace, she realizes that this is not a man. This is a monster. And essentially the entire book is about how in this book, the magic system is called literomancy. So it's like in the word necromancy, but it's literomancy. Women in this world are not taught how to read. It is illegal for women to learn how to read. Only men know how to perform literomancy. And essentially it's the point of like writing literature and or poems to create blessings that you can like induct on things. So essentially like with these poems, you can like write a blessing of like food, water, resources, like it like essentially is power. Like literomancy is power. And while Wei Yin is in the palace, she learns literomancy so that she can help rise above her station. But when she's there, she discovers that there's a poem that you can use to kill someone. And Terran, being absolutely like pure evil, like this man is pure evil, she wants to design a love poem. It's called the love poem that will essentially kill him. But you have to like, it has to be so earnest and written so deeply within you that it is like so much love. And how can you love someone that you hate so much because they've hurt you so badly? And so this book was very much a study in trauma. It was a study in like, how are monsters made? Are they created? Are they born? Why are they the way that they are? And what Wei Yin learns is that like she learns throughout this entire book how that is done. And she learns about Terran, and she learns like the kind of person he is and why he is the way he is and why the dynasty is the way it is and why it's so corrupt and why do women, all they women do is suffer and suffer and suffer.
Women are born with pain built in. It's our physical destiny. Period pains, sore boobs, childbirth, you know. We carry it within ourselves throughout our lives. Men don't.
There's a line in here about like a man without his tongue is still a man. A woman without her tongue is no better than an animal. Because that is all that these women have are their voices and their bodies to essentially like give to the empire and to give to the dynasty. And so it's really, really tragic and it's bleak. It's haunting. It's very, very sweet and sad and tender. And again, Wei Yin is in a position of power by being a concubine. And does she always use that power for good? We come to find out that she has some really, really hard choices to make. And at the end of the day, like, you know, she tries to do the right thing, but there are some things that she does that are super messed up and extremely morally gray. And I guess it's up for the reader to decide like what they think of those actions and if they're justified or not. This book was absolutely fantastic. It is an extremely unique magic system and an extremely unique world that you just don't get to read very often. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for a morally gray, like essentially like underdog story about a young woman, I highly recommend this book. It is absolutely incredible. The Poet Empress, Shen Tao, incredible debut. Like, truly mind-blowing. I cannot believe this is your first novel. Congratulations, it's fantastic. The next book is a dark academia steampunk fantasy book, okay? This is a book I've talked about several times on this channel, and if you know it, you love it. It is literally such an intense, rip-roaring ride about prejudice and fighting against those things. This is Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. If y'all know anything about M.L. Wang, you would know that M.L. Wang writes the most intense, the most gripping, the most like holding up a mirror to society kind of books ever. Blood Over Bright Haven is about a young woman named Siona, and Siona has just now qualified to become a high mage at the university inside of this like steampunk town that's set within a dome, and the outside is like an apocalyptic wasteland, okay? And Siona has finally just graduated into high mage territory. She's the first woman to do so. Women, it's like it's very much like against women. They don't want women to succeed. They don't want women to be educated. They don't want women to be in power. And I wonder why.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Whew, she's nuts.
Siona is the first woman to do this, and essentially, like, she and her other high mages are in charge of creating a new source of like finding more power to generate this town that they live in, this like city that they live in. And essentially her peers like set her up for failure, and they assign her this what they consider this janitor who is of another race from outside the dome named Thamil. And Thamil and Siona end up working together to create a stronger power grid. And in doing so, they end up like discovering a secret about the way the city was created and the way that it was made that is extremely messed up, extremely prejudiced, and extremely despicable and awful. And what Siona learns throughout this journey between her and Thamil is that she has prejudices, and she has things that she's been thinking, and she has like internalized racism that she didn't realize that she had. And that's what I love about this book, is that this is so like holding up a mirror to society. It's very much of like, you don't think you are in the wrong. You think that you are the lesser. You think that you're the minority. And yet there are other people who are in a way worse spot than you. There are other people who are suffering way worse than you could ever even imagine. And you've done nothing about it with your privilege and your things. And I like loved this book. I loved that it was a take on feminism. I loved that it was a take on social injustices. And I loved that like Siona like is a very complex character where like you're rooting for her, but then you're also like, oh my gosh, like how could she say some of the things that she says? But then like, you know, she learns. There's so much growth and learning that's happening in this book, which is what makes it so fun and so morally gray. Like I just love reading about it. And so I highly recommend this like dark academia, like steampunk magic system that they've created. It's like so fun and interesting and unique. And M.L. Wang has like truly outdone themselves. Like I am thoroughly impressed with this book. It is incredible. I highly recommend you all read it. The next book I want to recommend is our urban fantasy recommendation. Yes, you guys heard it. It's an urban fantasy. Don't get your panties in a twist. It's also a fabulous dark academia. This is An Academy of Liars by Alexis Henderson. Now, if you are loving the dark academia vibes, which I know that I do, I love dark academia, this is going to be the perfect book for you. We have a young woman named Lennon. Her life is essentially falling apart at the seams. She is essentially she's kind of abandoned. Her whole situation is kind of like on the run. And essentially she receives a call from a college called Drayton University, set in like the Savannah, Georgias. And they are a very special school. They're a very special university. And essentially what they do is they bring people with a special talent, a special like way that their, you know, minds and brains work, that they can have influence on society. And essentially Lennon learns that she has the gift of persuasion, which means that she can influence the way people see things. She can persuade people to feel certain things. She can persuade the way that like you're looking into society and the way that things look to a certain extent. And as Lennon goes throughout her time at Drayton University, you know, she ends up like making some friends and some colleagues. This is a slight like academic scholar to lover situation. There is a professor at this college named Dante, and Lennon and Dante have a cute little thing going on throughout the book, which is very fun and sexy. But essentially the story is mostly about Lennon and her time at this university and the things that she's willing to do to like rise up the ranks of university and be on top and survive another day here, but also to like not be corrupted by the power that she has. This is a really fun and interesting take on magic system in like the modern world. I love the persuasion idea. I think it's really interesting because influence, like influencers, like even influencer culture in real life, it has a power over people. I know I've been influenced by things before.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
And it's interesting to see this like kind of like new take on what it means to be like an influencer and like a persuasionist in a way. So really enjoying this dark academia book. I highly recommend it to everyone to read An Academy for Liars. It's really, really good. The next book I want to recommend is a literal favorite of mine. It is probably one of my favorite fantasy trilogies ever written, probably the most well written, an author that I absolutely love and am so devoted to. This is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, and I absolutely love this trilogy. If you start book 1, you will not be able to contain yourself when reading books 2 and 3. And in this book, obviously, this female main character is not the main character of this story. However, she is a prominent part. She is a huge part of this book, and she does have her own POV throughout the chapter. So, like, she is a main character, but she's not, like, what the story is technically about. Essentially, the story is about a young man named Kel Marsh. In this world that V.E. Schwab has created, there are 4 Londons. There's Red London, White London, Black London, and Grey London. Black London doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. Red London is where Kel lives and the Marish family rules. And he has a friend, or his brother, like adopted pseudo brother named Rye Marsh, is the prince, leading prince for the throne, essentially. And essentially Kel is, he is a magician, he has magic, and he can travel in between all the Londons. So he will visit them on occasion to like pass information around. Grey London is like our London, like our world's London. Red London is where Kel lives, and White London is where other magicians and other people live. And each of them have their own societies and stuff. Well, one of the times while traveling through one of the Londons, Kel brings back an artifact from Grey London and ends up getting into some huge trouble when he tries to go back and like fix it. He ends up meeting a thief named Delilah Bard. And Delilah essentially like robs him, then saves his life, and then basically demands that he bring her on this like journey into another dimension, into another London, so she can escape her life there. And Delilah Bard, I just absolutely adore. I love Delilah so much. She is the most fun, the most insane, the most zany, the most like quick on your feet, sarcastic, witty, and very much just like a person who is like very like after their own goals. They are very like single-minded, and Delilah just like wants what she wants, and she's gonna get what she wants, and she doesn't really care what really happens in the process. She's gonna just do the darn thing, and like nobody's gonna get in her way, which I like absolutely love. This is such a fun and unique magic system that we have going on here with like the dimensions and in between all the different Londons. I think V.E. Schwab is an absolute like genius to write something like this.
Action! Brilliant!
And it's such an addictive trilogy. I like cannot recommend it enough. And Delilah Bard is an addicting, morally gray FMC who you just fall in love with and cannot help but love, even though she's a little sneaky and a little scary sometimes, but you just love her so much. And I just love this book series so much, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you read it. And the last, but certainly not least, of the morally gray FMC books I want to recommend, this is an absolutely legendary book that came out last year. It was, or 2 years ago, I can't even remember now. Truly awe-inspiring and like one of my favorite vampire books I've ever read. Yes, you guys heard, it's vampires. This is The Immortal Dark by Taijist Girma. The Immortal Dark. Ugh, sexy, dark academia, fantasy, riveting vampires. Like, it is everything you want it to be. This is about a young orphaned heiress named Keaton Adane. She is essentially the leader. She's now the sole leader of a household that belongs to this like coveted university where humans have vampire companions that essentially like provide power back and forth to one another and keep each other alive. Well, Keaton's sister June has gone missing. She doesn't know where she is, and she is convinced that the vampire who currently runs her family's estate, named Susenyo Sagad, has taken her and killed her. And so Keaton must do the thing she always swore she never would and go to Uxley University and essentially try to claim back her family's name and essentially convince Susenyo Sagad to give her sister June. And Susenyo Sagad does not want to give it up easily. He's like, you left, you were never here, I took over. And Keaton's like, this is my house and my rules and you can't tell me what to do. And they essentially, and when I say that is the most gripping, knives to throats, enemies to lovers that I have ever seen, it is, okay? I am talking guttural betrayals going on in this book. I'm talking truly knives to throats. I'm talking teeth in veins. I'm talking as bloody and as corrupt as it gets between these two. There is a darkness and a wickedness between these two, and you cannot deny it. It is hot, but it is also terrifying. It's more scary than it is hot sometimes, but I am so into it.
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
And essentially, Keaton and Susenyo Sagad have to work together to find June. And the things that Keaton does while she is at this university are despicable, incredible, frightening, but also amazing.
She's very she's perfect on everything she does, Okay, not like that.
This book is the epitome of morally gray. This book reeks morally gray. It smells of morally gray. It's dripping off the pages. There's so much selfishness in this book. I just love it. I love selfish people in books. They just make for the best character arcs when they fully have that transformation. And I just think that you really get to see it in this book. It's so fun. It's invigorating. It's enthralling. It's also so confusing and twisty and creepy. And the vampire element just makes it even hotter than it should be. I absolutely love this book. I think it's fantastic. There is a second one. I have not read it yet, but I have every plan to read it. And I think that this is an incredible book by an incredible person. And I think that everyone should read it if you're looking for morally gray FMCs. So that is all the morally gray FMCs I want to recommend for you guys today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe to the Limited Literature YouTube channel. Guys, if there's any video ideas and things that you want to see on the channel, please feel free to comment them down below. If there are any book recommendations or other morally gray FMCs that I forgot to mention in this video, please feel free to comment those down below as well. As always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous day and I love you guys the most, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.